Welcome to Research and More. Today, we are going to look at how the literature review, problem statement, framework and theory are related to one another. The purpose of the literature review is to lay the foundation that supports the building of research from the beginning to the end. Therefore, it is insufficient just to connect the background to a study with the problem statement, as they provide weak connections to the concepts supporting the study. It should be noted that all research emanates from the researcher's implicit or explicit theory of the phenomenon under investigation. Indeed, without a literature review or a framework where the history or big ideas of an area are discussed, a proposal drifts. Meaning, all empirical studies, whether it is qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods, must be connected to the literature or concepts. Our choices for the appropriate type of research methodology and research design, research method and data analysis tools must be justified and validated through the literature. In sum, literature review supports the need for the study. It is related to the study's purpose statement and situates the study in terms of previous work. Why is literature review important to our study? And why must we do a review of the literature? A review of the literature is required to demonstrate a need for the research. The literature is articulated in the problem statement to support claims and makes a case out of it that the study is important enough to warrant a research to be conducted. It is used to build a foundation for important ideas in the problem statement and research objectives. As part of Chapter 1, the purpose of the literature review is to determine if a topic is researchable, to report the results of closely related studies, and to establish the importance of the current study in relation to previous studies. In Chapter 2, the literature review might be seen as casting a broad net around an area to explore the topic. The net should include presentation of the history or chronology of the manuscript's main idea. The researcher should acquaint a reader with the major authors writing in favor of or in opposition to the main idea and the state of current empirical research. Using the literature reviews to connect the problem, purpose, and discussion sections is a precondition for doing substantive, thorough, and sophisticated research, which will eventually lead to a credible research outcomes. The literature review, conceptual framework and theory share 5 functions. The first function is to build the foundation for the entire study. This function requires using previous work in such a way as to demonstrate linkages, illustrate trends, and provide an overview of a concept, theory, or literature base to demonstrate how a study contributes to knowledge. The second function is to demonstrate how a study advances knowledge. To do this, the literature is used to present existing knowledge and build a case that clearly shows the gap in what is known that a study will address. Next, the literature review is also used to conceptualize the study. By describing hypotheses and propositions from previous studies, defining key terms, clarifying assumptions and limitations, and citing relevant work to build a rationale for a study. It also provides a reference point where the findings can be compared with earlier studies and the implications connected to this previously presented work. Another function of the literature review is for the purpose of assessing research design and designing the research instrument. It provides support for the research design, method, and instruments to be used in a study. It makes a case for the method that the researcher believes is appropriate and illustrates why other methods are not appropriate by citing related work. And lastly, literature review functions as a reference point for interpretation of findings. As a reference point, findings from the study can be compared with past studies and enables the implications of current study to be connected to previously presented work. The process of building a theoretical framework is iterative. It should not be treated as a linear process. It begins with a well-formulated problem statement developed from a critical review of the literature to result in a conceptual model. The conceptual model enables the definition of the concepts or variables in your study. It also provides a descriptive representation of your theory, and coming up with a theory that provides an explanation for relationships between the variables in your model. From the theoretical framework, testable hypotheses can then be developed to determine the validity of your theory. The hypothesized relationships are tested through appropriate statistical analysis. That is, the entire deductive research project rests on the basis of the theoretical framework. It involves the identification of the network of relationships among variables. Literature review, conceptual framework, and theory are often used interchangeably by researchers to explain one another. However, it is good to be able to appreciate their differences as well. The literature review is being done to develop a conceptual model or to explore a topical area for study, where the conceptual model becomes the output from the literature review. Theory, on the other hand, is used to provide both predictions and explanations. Literature review usually refers to a heading in a thesis or a manuscript. If a separate review of the literature is used, you should consider whether the review will fall under any of these types of literature review. Is it an integrative summary, a theoretical review, or a methodological review? Integrative summaries provide overview of broad themes in literature reviews. They evaluate the strength of the scientific evidence, identify gaps in current research, determine the need for future research, bridge between related areas of work, identify central issues in an area, generate research questions, identify a theoretical or conceptual framework, and explore which research methods have been used successfully. Methodological reviews focus on strengths and weaknesses of method sections in research relevant to the study. It provides a framework of research approaches, data collection, and data analysis techniques. While theoretical reviews explore the theories that expound on the topic of research and provide justifications for the current study. Now let's take a closer look at the relationship between framework and theory. Conceptual framework or theoretical framework is a result of a critical review of the literature. It forms the foundation of a hypothetical deductive research and becomes the basis of the hypothesis that you will develop. The development of a theoretical framework is crucial in deductive, theory testing, and causal research, but not in an exploratory or a descriptive research, because no theoretical framework is developed, nor does it involve any testing of hypotheses. A research is often derived from the researcher's implicit or explicit theory of the phenomenon under study. These theories may come from the academic discipline, the professional application, or the practitioner's skills and attitudes. The importance of any study is demonstrated through the linkages made between research questions and larger theoretical concepts or policy issues. It is necessary to demonstrate how the particulars of the study serve to illuminate larger issues and therefore are of significance. Often, the lack of a clearly articulated theoretical framework or weak theorizing in general would result in a proposal or thesis being rejected. And now, we'll look at the relationship of the problem statement to the framework. The problem statement flows from the literature review or the theoretical or conceptual framework. The framework gradually refines and narrows the topic to an identifiable gap in what is known about the topic. The gap is then articulated into a problem statement of a few paragraphs in length that clearly delineates what the field needs to investigate. The conceptual or theoretical framework supports the argument for the research problem and gradually narrows the focus of the proposal to end with a statement of the problem, research questions, and concludes with the objective of the study. This whole process takes the reader along to the point where it is obvious of what needs to be done. What needs to be done is stated as the objective of your study that ends with a statement like, "The objective of the study is," and this is followed by the propositions or hypotheses and then the research design. Thank you for watching. If you find this video useful, please subscribe, share and comment so that more of similar videos can be created.